As day two of the draft rolls on, we have some trades to dissect and to talk about, and Sheldon Keefe also addressing the media today, so let's dig in on some of that. The Edmonton Oilers moved some salary off the books, Kyler Yamamoto to the Detroit Red Wings along with Klim Kostin. And CJ, this is all about free agency, clearing up some space and filling some holes.
Yeah, there's no return on that trade, so the return is what you can do with that open money on Saturday, and I think that it's natural for us to connect the dots here with Connor Brown, who's due to be an unrestricted free agent, obviously has a history with Connor McDavid, shares an agent with him in Jeff Jackson, has played with Zach Hyman, among others in the past, and you know, is in a unique circumstance because Connor Brown missed most of last year. He tore his ACL, had surgery on November 1st, and as a result, he's not going to take up the kind of cap space that Kyler Yamamoto was in Edmonton. I think you'll see him likely sign a low dollar deal, perhaps with some performance bonuses which are allowed, and I would say the Oilers are in the driver's seat to get that contract done.
And yet another trade where some decent hockey players go for nothing. After Taylor Hall went for nothing, Ryan Johansson went for nothing, Kevin Hayes went for nothing, and just an example of where the system is at right now. There is no freedom for teams with no cap space to have any leverage in these trade talks.
Corey Perry on the move. The Chicago Blackhawks, stars of the show here, taking Connor Bedard, but it's important to put some good players around him to shepherd him into the league. Corey Perry qualifies as such. Now it's about getting him signed.
Yeah, and those talks are already on their way, I'm told. They're trying to work on an extension with Corey Perry. We'll see if they can get one done before Saturday, but that certainly would have been part of the discussion before the Hawks went ahead and gambled 48 hours out whether they could sign Corey Perry. They acquired Nick Foligno earlier this week. They signed him to a one-year deal, absolutely trying to set some culture there around the young Connor Bedard.
Sheldon Keefe addressed the media today for the first time. Brad Treliving talked about 17 hours worth of face-to-face meetings, and Keefe today was interesting. He said, you know, at times it was kind of uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, he said it was like a job interview for a job he already had. He was under contract already through next season. You'll notice the Leafs didn't put out a press release saying our coach is still our coach, but there was very much that was up in the air with when those set of meetings happened. And you know, another thing that Keefe disclosed here is that the entire assistant coaching staff is still under review, and that's something that, because of all the long to-do list on Brad Treliving's plate, hasn't really gotten underway yet. But in addition to replacing Spencer Carberry, who's moved on to Washington as their head coach, the Leafs' current assistants are now going through what Sheldon Keefe did, and so this has been an unusual offseason, I would say, for that coaching staff.
And I would imagine that Brad Treliving would want to extend Sheldon Keefe before the season, because on an expiring deal, and that got a little bit of attention. I would think that the head coach would need that before going into next year.
Keeping an eye on signings too. Anything Nylander, Matthews?
Status quo.
We've been hearing a lot of status quo. Treliving with a long to-do list. You can only handle one thing at a time. We'll see if anything drops before July 1st.